Hello, I'm Doc Miller, and I've been an educator for over the last 50 years, working with educational organizations such as Facing History and Ourselves and Seeds of Peace. And I'm celebrating Global Goal number 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. I'm delighted to announce that the 2021 Flourish Prize for Goal number 16 is presented to Defudger in Copenhagen, Denmark. The company's detection system reveals forgery and falsification of images and videos with high accuracy. Defudger's technology is the means to building more transparent, equitable systems that make use of more inclusive algorithms while supporting a more sustainable society. Congratulations, Defudger.
Hi, I'm Megan Buchter, and I'm the director of the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit at Case Western Reserve University. And at the Fowler Center, we run a program called Aim2Flourish. Aim2Flourish strives to teach students about the UN Sustainable Development Goal and businesses' role in helping to achieve them. As part of the program, students conduct interviews of business leaders and social entrepreneurs, and then write up stories that get published on our aim2flourish.com platform. As part of the program, we also do an annual Flourish pricing process where we award one Flourish prize for each of the global goals, and then celebrate the professors, the students, and the business leaders all involved in the creation of that story. Today, I have the honor of being with our Flourish Prize honoree team for Global Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. And I am so honored today to be with our professor, Isabel Rodriguez Tejedo from the Universidad de Navarra, and her 4 student authors, and Dominic, one of the co-founders of a company called Defudger, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a bit. So, Isabel, I'd love to start with you and hear about how you've incorporated Aim2Flourish in your class and some of the outcomes that you've seen during your time using our program.
Thank you, Megan. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and be part of this wonderful project that is Aim2Flourish. I actually use it as an extra credit activity in my global political economy class, which takes economic students and business students. The 4 students we have today, Monica, Jose Maria, Gabriela, and Alex, are actually economic students. But most of my classes are made up of business students who sometimes don't really see the role of businesses as a powerful, very powerful engine for good. So I like to take Aim2Flourish and tell them about all the wonderful companies like the one Dominique is going to be telling us about today, and what good they're doing in the world. And to be honest, it's an extra credit activity. So the students who engage are very much self-driven. Like these 4 students really did all the work on their own. They got in touch with the company. And I think that's also a wonderful opportunity for them to talk face-to-face and in first-person basis, although with COVID, maybe it was through a screen, with a business person who is actually walking the walk. So at the University of Navarra, the school is very conscious about ethics and good behavior from individuals and companies, but sometimes we feel it's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. And I think Aim2Flourish provides students and professors with a wonderful opportunity to be able to do some of the work while still in school. So I would like to maybe pass it on to my students who really did all the work, and Dominic, who has this inspiring story for us to share.
I just want to say how impressed I am that the 4 of you took the initiative to do an extra credit opportunity. And now we're sitting here, saying that you had one of the top stories of the year in 2020. So congratulations. I'd love to hear what inspired you to want to take that extra credit opportunity, and then, a little bit about how that experience went for you.
I can take it. Actually, what motivated us to take Aim2Flourish was that the 4 of us, we are engaging in some of research in technology and development of technology, and the 4 of us were trying to find a way where technology is helping society, and at the same time businesses or technology-driven businesses are influencing society for the better. And here actually, maybe I'm going a little bit ahead of this interview, but I met Dominic in Hong Kong. We were both doing an exchange in the HKU University, and he told me about his business that he was running to fight fake news. And I remember to be really amazed by the idea and also the effectiveness that this can have in society. And we thought, like, this is the perfect fit. Let's go for it.
Thank you so much, Monica. Jose or Gabriela or Alex?
Yes. Well, just to add to that, we're all four of us very interested in technology's effect in society, and in doing Aim2Flourish, this really allowed us to understand how technology can be used for good purposes in society, and how contributing towards a brighter future for society is not only reserved to NGOs and public agencies. There's also private companies that, while doing business, innovating, and staying competitive, they can also contribute towards that brighter future that we're all working towards. And yeah, we do research, we discuss about those important topics in technology and future. And we were somewhat familiar with deepfakes, misinformation, how they can disrupt the peace and stability in today's society. And so when Monica told us about how she met Dominic and about the opportunity to raise a bit more awareness about these issues through Aim2Flourish, we thought it was the great one of the greatest opportunities we had to do so, and we took the challenge.
That's really great to hear. Alex or Gabriela, what was the interview experience like, getting a chance to talk to Dominic?
Well, Aim2Flourish provides a lot of resources for us to prepare and approach the businesses. So we basically use your appreciative inquiry approach, which basically focuses on what's working well with the company, analyzing why it's working well, and how to do more of it. So our questions revolved around what the innovation was, how it emerged, and what was the motivation and purpose behind it, who was involved, in this case, Dominic and his co-founders, and what is the impact of the innovation in society. So since Dominic and Monica had a good friendship, the talks were really informal, really chill in a way, and we got to really understand what the business was like, what the motivation behind it was, and we drafted up the story from those questions.
And Gabriela, maybe you can talk a little bit about the impact that doing this interview had on you. Obviously, you all decided to do this as an extra credit activity, so you probably didn't need much convincing about the role that business can have in society. But still, after you got a chance to talk to Dominic, what did you think?
Yeah, so I think kind of tying back to what Jose Maria was saying earlier, and as we mentioned, we all study the same degree program. And so one of the really cool things about our degree is that even though we are economics students, the degree was kind of designed with the idea that a lot of the students coming through would have a very socially focused idea for what they wanted to pursue in their future, whether that was within business, whether that was purely in academic or economics focus. And so I think for a lot of us, and like earlier when we were talking about what our next steps professionally are looking like, I think you can kind of even see the impact in things like that. Like we've all decided to pursue something more maybe tech focused, or that's definitely where we were focusing on applying. And I think for a lot of us, it has like a personal, or it kind of has become almost like a personal mission, or there's definitely a personal drive to seeking out how we can create more sustainable, more equitable societies in tech in our future careers. And in our case, it's all working in businesses. So I think doing this story was kind of just maybe like one piece of that like bigger puzzle. But I think it really just highlights kind of drive that we had maybe coming into this degree and just pursuing it. So even if it was an extra credit assignment for us, we do a lot of different things in our degree, or we were able to, and this is just kind of an extension, I think, of that type of activity that we got involved in and we enjoyed doing.
Thank you. So Isabel, is this intentional, like part of the degree at the Universidad de Navarra has to do with social impact?
Yes, well, it depends on the track that the student takes, but there is an undergoing current that always focuses on serving society in one way or another, every one of us, wherever we are. So this is something that students see from different points of view throughout their degrees. And actually, Aim2Flourish has been such a wonderful opportunity that from next year on, we're going to have it as a compulsory activity. So all the students, hopefully, will be doing it. And it has been a few years in the making, but the students who have done it in the past have come back with such positive feedback. Some of them actually became very interested in the social aspects of businesses. So they're going for masters in sustainability. And one of my students actually was so excited that she became a volunteer editor with Aim2Flourish. So we see a lot of good coming out from this activity. And it obviously depends on how much the students want to put in it. And sometimes they're not as lucky as having these wonderful friends like Dominic, or maybe knowing companies, but just the process of researching and looking for a company brings them a lot of opportunity, I think.
Absolutely, I agree. Obviously, I think this group got lucky. A lot of students get a little nervous, a little stuck when they're trying to look for that company that they're going to interview. And so it's so nice when you know somebody, but it is also nice to do that research, to get a chance to sit down and say, okay, maybe I don't know about a lot of companies that are doing good in the world. So I'm going to start searching and see what comes up. So that's great. Dominic, I'd love to turn it over to you and give you a chance. I would love to hear from your perspective, even though I've read the Aim2Flourish story, but if you could tell us a little bit more about Defudger and what really inspired you to create this organization.
So maybe we can start from the beginning. Like, I was a university student at the Technical University of Denmark, studying AI and all that cool kind of innovative technologies. And generally, we were really excited about the future from all different perspectives. And it was back in 2018 when they released this new video of Barack Obama, where it was the major, I think initially it was the most well-known deepfake at that time, and everyone knew about it, and we just watched and we were like, wow, this could be so dangerous, and this is so exciting. Of course, we had this very strong social drive for doing something that where society can benefit, and it was really important because it was not only in us as founders, but also in the Danish education system and the Danish society. We felt like it empowered the whole idea, not just by some nice accomplishments, but also by some funding and grants, which we won later on. But before we reached that point, we decided to do something about such an artificial threat of manipulated videos and images by building a system that's able to filter them out. And initially, we wanted to sell it to media companies, and the process began around January 2019. So by then, we were finalists in the Danish venture competition, which was one of the biggest startup competitions in Denmark. And it was a really good validation that we got to the finals, even though the whole company was just an idea. We had nothing, just a team of founders and a solid, plan for the next steps. But there we got some validation, and we basically met our first testing partner. And then we started to develop the initial versions of the system, and it was a long process in the coming months and actually years after that. So that's shortly the beginning of the story, actually.
Thank you. And so one of the things that struck me in the Aim2Flourish story, and maybe you can just talk a little bit about this, is kind of the focus on truth. And I think that's a really interesting way to tie to the UN Sustainable Development Goal about peace, because if there is no truth, then how can we, there's this unrest that people are feeling.
Yes. I think truth is so relative, and it's really hard to define truth. What we actually want to do is not to replace the decisions of the people and the actual stakeholders of such activities, but by empowering them with more information. And the reason why we tell that we are maybe the sources of truth or the source of truth, because we provide you the necessary information to make the decision about truth. And it's going to be you who decides what is true or what is not. It's not going to be us. It's not going to be another company. It's not going to be an algorithm. It could be that somebody designs a system that, tells you if something is true or not. And it can be done, but I think product-wise and the way it communicates to the businesses and to the people, it's not going to be a wise decision. I think it should be, human beings who make these decisions. And at DFUDGER, we had this idea that we had this confirmed validation that that we should be the information providers to these decision makers, and that's when it comes to deciding what is true, what is not. It's not as simple. Machines cannot make that decision, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And so I like your point about, it's almost like giving people the power to make their own decisions instead of, so that they're not being
and
told
told
lies.
Just to add a thought here, in today's world, there are so many, pieces of information on there all across social media from everywhere. Centuries ago, people received far less amount of information. Now it's harder to filter, harder to look where it could matter or where something is more valid. That's where we want to add more, value by highlighting the ones which are more authentic. Let's say that, and trying to help companies and also people to focus on where it's actually validated information.
I see a lot of nods from the students. Did Alex, you seemed like maybe you wanted to say something.
No, well, I might actually have a question for Dominic, because as Jose Maria mentioned, we are very interested in the impact that technology has in society, and we actually do a lot of research in one of the university's think tanks. It's called Think Tech. And we actually have been talking about misinformation, fake news, deep fakes. And Dominic, maybe you can provide us with some insights on maybe a time frame or when deep fakes will become indistinguishable from real live videos, and where we will really have to step up, especially perhaps in journalism and social media, to avoid this kind of misinformation or ensure that videos are authentic.
Well, that's a great question. Thanks for your curiosity there. I think the audience is interested in that as well. And I must say, with a pretty high confidence, like a very, very high confidence, that it's today already. So we already reached that point, and I would be 99% sure that I could show you a video what we could make that you would believe it's real. It would take some work. My opinion is that by the time we reach further technological improvements in the coming years, it's going to be easier. Maybe someone who doesn't have the experience will be able to do that much quicker and much more easily. But we can already make such quality today.
And that makes organizations like yours all the more important.
I would say so. There are many ways to counter this. you could imagine creating a new kind of format for storing media elements, which is already being done by other companies, but not just companies, but organizations. So it would work in a similar way as you are recording something on your phone, and this has this new encryption format that from now on it's not going to be really possible to edit the actual information of the file itself. By editing, I mean modifying it, either through any kind of editing software or through an algorithm, and it would be much more secure. But these are still in very small, these are still in very early steps, and I don't see it coming in the next few years, maybe later on. But there are many kinds of solutions what companies and organizations and governments are proposing. But we will see. I would say that we need everything. We need all the combination of these two to be more efficient in the future. It's not an easy problem, and there is no easy solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fascinating. I read a lot of stories on Aim2Flourish, and then we do this Flourish pricing process, and a lot of the stories have some sort of technological component. And I think this story is just especially interesting because we don't think about we just take technology for granted at this point. We don't really think about what's real and what's not real. And so this is a very interesting story to really help bring truth and bring transparency to this market. So I'd like to kind of turn now and just talk a little bit about your experience interviewing with the students. I know that you knew Monica before she reached out about Aim2Flourish, but maybe just tell us a little bit about what the experience was like getting a chance to work with these students and having them write up your story.
Yeah, it's always nice to work with people who are interested in our story, because I feel like it's one of our duties to spread the word and to tell others how this technology is affecting our lives and how we can counter it, and not just because of our company's activities, but because of making some awareness, I would say, because in the end, I don't think it's gonna be tools like ours, but it's gonna counter these fake news, but it's gonna be once again decisions of the readers, of the viewers, people who consume the news, and it's a really nice thing to educate the public, and we're always very happy to accept such proposals, and it's always a very nice thing to share this piece of information with others, and we had the same motive with Monica and the team and everyone here. So it was a pleasure, and they were all curious, and we were ready to share all the info we had. Of course, it's sometimes hard because we do not control these timings when people come and ask for interviews and possible sometimes conferences, sometimes these workshops, but we do all we can at the highest quality. But so it was very nice, I would say.
That's great to hear. Thank you. And Monica or Alex, Gabriela, Jose, what was your favorite part of the interview and getting a chance to talk to Dominic?
Well, I really enjoy where Dominic explained his beginnings with his co-founders, because I think it's like some people our age, like doing actual stuff and creating something and really going forward with it. For me, I think it's the part that really most inspired me. It's like, yeah, these people, they are committed with truth, and they are investing a lot of time. He was studying at the same time he was running the company. So I think that, and maybe for all of us, it was like quite a big part of our inspiration and something we take with us when we work or when we apply in our researches. That's really inspiring for me. I don't know about the others, but that's it.
Yeah, maybe adding on to that and connecting it with Aim2Flourish, I feel we sometimes think that since SDGs are UN driven, they must be pushed forward by governments or public entities. But this was a real live great lesson of how private companies can contribute towards achieving the SDGs by becoming businesses and agents of global benefit. So this was great for us to learn about businesses that are doing great work in achieving SDGs, in this case SDG 16.
Gabriela or Jose, anything that you want to add?
Sure. I mean, I think it's really just echoing what Monica and Alex said, because I mean, it's super true. I think for us to see people who are in our same position or age, like to be able to achieve those things is super inspiring, as Monica said. And as Alex was saying, even though we maybe are people who kind of, as I said, we went into this degree maybe with this idea of using our work or using our energy as something with a purpose beyond, like something more socially driven, right? I think this is a really good way for us to see, but also just in general to see that it's not like doing something socially oriented has to be this different sector. It's like in your own work, you can do things that create a better society. And I think that's super important for us to see more and more in businesses and in other companies, as Alex said, that aren't just maybe public sector.
Jose?
Not much to add on my part, honestly. I think we're all on the same page here. It was great working with Dominic, and again, what we've said before, seeing firsthand how people around our age are able to directly contribute towards a better society. It's always very inspiring, very refreshing as well, because it always seems as if it's big companies or geniuses around the world who are doing work. But it's good to see how normal people, how students can also help in achieving these goals that UN has set. Great experience.
Thank you so much. And I completely agree. I get to read a lot of these stories. And then when I get a chance to do these interviews, these panels, it's always very interesting to actually get a chance to see the social entrepreneur, the business leader. And a lot of times they are, young, and they, are around the same age as the students, or maybe just a little bit older. But it's great to see that this, new generation of entrepreneurs that are really, really changing the world. And so we're always happy to get a chance to support that and share those stories. Share your story, Dominic.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to hear that, and it's an honor as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'd just like to say a final congratulations and thank you to our Flourish Prize honorees for Global Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institution. Congratulations to our professor and our students and our business here at DeFudger. We wish you all the best and look forward to continuing the celebration with you and hopefully, helping to contribute to a more peaceful world. So thank you.